In this video, we're going to look at the Confidence Convention. How long does a Prime Minister serve? Well, it depends. At the upper limit, the Prime Minister can serve for no more than 5 years. After 5 years, there needs to be a new election. At minimum, however, they will serve as long as they have the confidence of the House. What exactly does that mean? Well, the Confidence Convention, as it is called, is part of the unwritten aspect of Canada's Constitution. By convention, by tradition, the government will serve as long as they are able to control a majority of votes in the House of Commons. That is all rooted in the idea of responsible government. The idea that the people, the voters of Canada, select a parliament, a representative government, full of representatives that will make decisions on their behalf. Of those elected representatives in parliament, one of those is the Prime Minister. Everybody, a majority of people, or at least a plurality, in the House of Commons approve of that person as being the Prime Minister. If at any time they decide that person should not be the Prime Minister, then they can vote and remove them. That is an accountability mechanism. So there is a direct link of accountability from the voters to their representatives to the person they designate as the Prime Minister. So that Prime Minister will serve until they lose a confidence vote, when they lose the confidence of the legislature. And what exactly does that mean? Well, it depends. A confidence vote is typically something important. Excuse me, like a vote on a budget bill or a vote on the throne speech. Those are two very important items for a government. So if they lose one of those, that's considered a confidence vote. Or there could be a confidence motion. The opposition could decide to introduce a motion of non-confidence, saying we no longer have confidence in this Prime Minister, and therefore we would like a vote to remove them. How does that process work? Well, typically, the members of Parliament who pick a Prime Minister would have a vote. Let's say it's either a budget vote or a non-confidence vote. If the Prime Minister loses that vote, then their first job is to go to the Governor General and ask for relief. They say, we need to do something different. And the Governor General has two options. The Prime Minister says, I do not have the confidence of the House. What do we do next? And the Prime Minister will usually present an option to the Governor General. The Governor General should choose one, to dissolve Parliament and have a new election. That's typically what Prime Ministers will ask for. I don't have the confidence of the House. Allow me to go contest a new election to try and earn a mandate from the voters. That's one thing the Governor General could do. Alternatively, the Governor General might say, no, we just had an election. Why don't I let another party in Parliament try and form a government? And if that's the case, if another member can control the confidence of the House, then they would be designated the Prime Minister. They would form a government, form a cabinet, and try and run Parliament. So those are the two options. After you lose a confidence vote, Prime Minister has to go see the Governor General, either trigger a new election or look at someone else in Parliament who would be able to command the confidence of the House. Now, there's a few problems with this process. For one, Parliament is controlled by parties. So the individuals that are representing their districts really aren't representing their districts. They're representing their party. The parties decide how they're all going to vote. That's the idea of party discipline. So in a majority government, it's very unlikely that anyone would vote to remove a leader from their own party. Probably not going to lose confidence of the House in a majority government situation. In a minority government situation, it's much more likely that you could, at any given time, lose a confidence vote and trigger a new election because the government is outnumbered by the opposition parties. Again, there's no clear definition of what counts as a confidence vote or not. So there are times when the opposition might say this is a confidence vote and the government might say no, it's not. Since it's part of that unwritten convention, there's no real standard for evaluating what counts as a confidence vote or not. Typically, it comes down to whether the Prime Minister says it is or not. So to recap, how long does a Prime Minister serve? Well, it depends. They'll definitely serve for 5 years at a maximum, but in a practical level, they will serve as long as they have the confidence of the House. They'll serve until they lose a confidence vote. Now, that'll depend whether they have a minority government or a majority government. Much more likely to lose confidence in a minority government. Or sometimes the government just wants to lose on purpose. The Prime Minister might trigger a confidence vote on purpose, or they just might think that they've served long enough. They'll go to the Governor General and say, I've been here for 3 years, I've fulfilled my mandate, it's time for a new election. Those are the different mechanisms for losing the confidence of the House and for choosing a new prime minister.